John Quincy Adams, the sixth President of the United States from 1825 to 1829. John Quincy Adams, the first president whose father held the office, in many ways mirrored his famous father John Adams' career, temperament, and political views. In 1767, he was born in Braintree, Massachusetts, and from the top of Penn's Hill, which is located above the family farm, he witnessed the Battle of Bunker Hill. As his father's secretary in Europe, he developed as a fluent linguist and meticulous diarist. He became a lawyer after earning his degree from Harvard College. He was made minister to the Netherlands at the age of 26, and afterwards elevated to the Berlin legation. He was chosen to serve in the U.S. Senate in 1802. President Madison nominated him minister to Russia 6 years later. Adams was one of America's greatest secretaries of state. When serving under President Monroe, he worked with England to jointly occupy the Oregon region, secured Spain's cession of the Floridas, and developed the Monroe Doctrine with the president. Adams was seen as the political heir apparent to the presidency in the early 19th century political tradition because of his position as Secretary of State. However, the traditional methods of electing presidents were beginning to fade in 1824 before the call for a popular option. Sectionalism and factionalism were growing within the one and only party, the Republican, and each sector put up its own candidate for the presidency. Adams, the Northern candidate, earned more votes than both William H. Crawford and Henry Clay but finished second to General Andrew Jackson in both the popular and electoral vote counts. The House of Representatives selected between the top three candidates because no one received a majority of electoral votes. Clay gave the New Englander his vital support in the House because he supported a policy similar to Adams'. Adams appointed Clay to be Secretary of State after taking office. In 1828, Jackson and his enraged supporters launched a campaign to depose Adams as president after alleging that a corrupt agreement had been struck. Adams announced a remarkable national agenda in his first annual message while knowing that he would face opposition in Congress. He suggested that the federal government use money from the sale of public lands to develop and conserve the public domain and connect the various areas with a system of roads and canals. He began construction on the 185-mile C&0 Canal in 1828. Adams also pushed for the formation of a national university, the funding of scientific expeditions, and the construction of an observatory as ways for the United States to lead the world in the advancement of the arts and sciences. His detractors said that these actions went beyond the bounds of the Constitution. Adams did not take well to the Jacksonian campaign of 1828, in which they accused him of dishonesty and public theft. He left Massachusetts after losing, intending to live out the rest of his days on his farm and writing novels. Unexpectedly, the Plymouth district elected him to the House of Representatives in 1830, where he remained as a potent leader for the rest of his life. He battled against the restriction of civil freedoms above everything else. Southern congressmen enacted the gag rule in 1836, mandating that petitions opposing slavery be immediately tabled in the House. For 8 years, Adams battled the rule tenaciously until ultimately succeeding in having it repealed. He suffered a stroke in 1848 and passed just 2 days later in the Speaker's room after being taken there after collapsing on the floor of the House. At Quincy's First Parish Church, he was laid to rest with his parents and wife.